What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And we're all here this week. Hallelujah for that one. So, guys, I think we're going to have a really fun show for you today. Next to me, I have Comic Uno. Say hello.
Hello, I'm back in my space that I always was. A little different now because I got my kitchen redone. So that feels nice.
You know, the biggest thing is like there's no picture with good.
I know we got to rehang that picture because I do miss it. So I do need a picture.
And then right below me, I have a Brant Fowler.
What's up? I don't know what that was, but yeah, I'm back.
How you feeling, Brant?
I'm better, not completely over it, but I am better. So if I mute myself, you know why.
I'm hearing it for sure in your throat, but you do sound a little better.
That's good.
Yeah. The worst of it's through. I've just still got the congestion. I'm good.
Can't believe it's been a whole week too, so that's not fun.
No. But we got a good show for you today. There's actually some decent news to talk about. We're gonna have comic books to talk about as well. And so we'll have a good show. And we want to welcome everyone that's on there. We have Get the Key Comic who's on there. Tevia is on there. Storm Shadow says at 10:22, what the hell? You know, we got to make sure that we have everybody on here before we start. So there's that. But he does say, what's up? So welcome to the show. And already we have Tevia asking questions. So of course, it wouldn't be a show without Tevia asking questions, but we're going to dive into those comic books first, and then we'll talk about all that news while the audience is building, especially that DC stuff as well. So let's kick it off with the comic books this week. We're going to kick it off with the big book, I think, one of the most highly anticipated books for probably, maybe for Kat, I don't know, but at least for Grant,
I definitely I was looking forward to it. It wasn't in my top 3 last week because I knew you guys are going to cover it, and because I never know what to expect with this book, I'm like, I don't know. But I do like this book a lot, and we'll talk about the second issue. But I actually want to mention, because the last topic for Transformers is this new reader friendly? But I actually thought this issue was even more new reader friendly than the first issue, because they actually describe what the war is about, and they go into detail enough where it doesn't feel too much like exposition. But then for you guys, they go right into the action and they get some good twists and turns. I actually liked this issue more than issue 1, and I liked issue 1. But I thought this one, usually issue 2s have such a slump, and they did not do that here.
No, I agree. I thought the same thing. I actually liked this one better, and I liked how they hooked you in with that first issue with some of the action and things like that. And here they sat down, they slowed some things down a little bit, and they introduced you to what Cybertron is, what this war is. And it really got a good distinguishation of good and evil is, what Optimus Prime actually is, right? How he cares for life and how the Decepticons don't care for life. And you see that in the very opening scene, how he accidentally kills a deer. And I like that. And then we go to the very end, how it ties into the end of the first issue. And I totally did not see that coming. Really good book. I really like this issue. And my boy Cliff Jumper made his appearance in here too, which I was super excited about.
Yeah, and I love his aversion to humans. He's like scared of them, which I thought was hilarious. It's like, us being afraid of like bugs. And it's kind of the same thing. But I thought this issue was really good. I thought it got to the heart of the best versions of Optimus Prime that we see is like this, where he's, introspective. He's very thoughtful, very emotional, very connected to everything. And I thought we got a lot of that here. And the contrast between him and Starscream, how they react to the environment and the people and things, I thought was really solid. It showed like both sides of the spectrum completely apart in their viewpoints of this world. And I love this book. Best Transformers I've read in a long time. And I'm excited. We got the little G.I. Joe tease in this issue with Duke flying right at us. And so that was cool. And I'm just excited about this whole thing. So good issue.
We do have a question from Storm Shadow. I've been out of the loop for a while. These alternate covers are driving me nuts. What's the best source out there for that cover all the covers? League of Comics, I think, is really probably your best bet. I'm gonna actually
League of Comic Geek shows every single comic cover, even like store exclusives and things like that. So I would definitely.
I'm actually gonna show it here. So if you go on, let's say, Immortal Thor, if you scroll right down, right here, other covers, that's where you're gonna see all the variants.
Yeah. And then to purchase them, I think still Midtown's good. They have a pretty extensive list of variant covers and stuff. You can't find them in your local store.
Yeah. Sometimes like my local shop, they actually send me an FOC letter. And so and it has highlights of variant covers that they're going to cover or get in their shop. So then you just ask for the ones that you want. So not every store is going to have them.
Yeah. Speaking of G.I. Joe, I did want to I listened to the show. I was telling you guys yesterday, I was listening to the show, and G.I. Joe issue 301, I don't think it's connected to the Energon universe, Cat. I think it's a separate thing.
Yeah. It was so funny. I was telling that to Mike right before you came on. So I was like, wait, wow. I think that G.I. Joe is connected to that other run. So I was like, I'm definitely not going to get that one, but I will get the Williamson one because that seems very brand new. I do think this G.I. Joe is going to be pretty much what you were getting before because it's the same creator and they're numbering it the same way.
Yeah, same writer that's been writing it since the Marvel run. So, yeah.
We also have Spider-Man who says is Midtown's price is good. They're pretty much what you would get at your local store from what I can tell. It's, they're not upping any prices.
Yes, sometimes slightly discounted. A lot of times they have sales and stuff. There's other sites like TFAW and different ones that you can check out.
Yeah, Tevia says he thought it was connected, but no, it continues from the last run. What's connected is the Duke series and the Cobra Commander series and their mini series, and that's all they said for now. So there could be more in the future.
I'm sure with this, I was looking at Bleeding Cool because what's interesting, and maybe not everyone knows this, back before COVID, you were able to actually track the sales of how comics were doing physically, not digitally, but physically. But after post-COVID and everything that happened with Diamond, you can't anymore. But Bleeding Cool does have a list where they ask 30, stores and say, hey, what sold well? And on that list, Transformers was number 2. And number 1 was Batman. It beat Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, that's surprising right now, but
I'm surprised it didn't outsell Batman though.
But Gotham War probably.
I mean, it's Batman. I mean,
And also, that's just from 30 stores. That doesn't mean that Batman is winning everywhere. It could just been maybe those stores are all in cities. Maybe they're not in town. I think there's a lot of different aspects. Maybe Batman didn't completely win. It's just to kind of know what's going on with the sales. But obviously, we don't know anymore.
Right. That's like what, an 8 to 10% sampling of the stores out there. Yeah.
But it was interesting to see because it just shows how well Transformers is doing, which the point being, I'm sure G.I. Joe will get more if it does just as well. With Williamson on board, I really think Duke could, I won't say be as big as Transformers, but I think it will be a very good follow-up. And I know I'm excited for that. I don't know if I want to say I might like it more, but it's going to be hard because this book is so good too. And I like both creators for different reasons. I think Williamson does such a great job with character. And I think Johnson does a really, really good job at balancing it all. He's more the mainstream creator. He knows how to make, he's kind of the MCU of comics where he knows how to kind of make everyone happy. Cause you're here's some action, here's some character, here's some wonderful art. I think he does a really good job at reaching the masses in that way.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm crossing my fingers that Duke will be good and Cobra Commander and all the other stuff that he will be putting out,
Yeah.
Transformers outsells Batman at my store. I know that Transformers did really well at my shop too, and they sold a lot of the variants and I bought a lot of the variants, but I know other people did too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But Batman is Batman, and Batman usually tends to sell no matter what. So,
Yeah.
Right.
And also, there's just probably more people who've been reading Batman for decades and decades that read comics than maybe 80s fans that grew up with Transformers. And I guess the bigger question is Transformers bringing new fans to comic book stores? That I'm not sure about, but I would bet you once it becomes a graphic novel, when you get the trade, it will get more people in the comic book store. That's my bet.
I would definitely say it's bringing people that never tried Transformers like yourself into Transformers at the very least. But yeah.
Right.
For sure.
We'll see.
You know what's good about that book though? Like, it really shows you if there's a writer that's passionate about certain properties, right?
And
like, so
them
Daniel Warren Johnson like grew up to that.
Yeah.
So he feels that he needs to do that book right. And that's the problem with, like, I would say, like, say for instance, maybe Marvel and DC, where you're like, hey, do you want to, let's put you on this particular book. And if they don't have any history or passion about those characters, they're not going to write it the same way. Right. So,
yeah.
See, I wonder also what the editorial situation is, because we know Marvel and DC loves to be editorial about everything. But I think, having Skybound have these properties, but them being an independent creator-owned company first might really help be like, yeah, do whatever you want. Create the thing you want. We won't really be in your hair that much. So I wonder why, maybe that's why we're also getting better properties, because they're just not in the way as much.
I mean, and also like Robert Kirkman collaborated with Daniel Warren Johnson on the whole, Void Rivals Transformers thing on connecting it right from the very start. And when you look at Robert Kirkman, same thing. He knows what Transformers is too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, they're all on the same wavelength with it. I just feel like they communicate with each other. And that's something that I don't know if Marvel or DC do that so much anymore like they did in the old days, where here they're like, they want to handle this really right. They want to make it right for the fans,
Yeah. And I also think when you have a licensor that, I don't know, in Hasbro's case, I think they've always been kind of open to new ideas and stuff
Look
with
at
their
Power
properties.
Rangers.
And yeah, exactly. And putting it in the hands of a creator that, a publishing brand that's like behind Walking Dead and Invincible and the success they've had, and being able to connect to audiences across age spectrums and all that stuff. And I feel like there's probably a lot of trust there from Hasbro to, hey, do something different, do something unique, and make it cool. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens with issue 3. We'll see what happens with a G.I. Joe. And definitely looking forward to it. All right. So speaking of Batman, so we're going to talk about Batman issue 139. I thought this was better than what we've been getting. But it's like, even though we haven't seen Joker in a while, I'm just kind of like, it's another Joker story. I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I thought the artwork was good. I thought the story was okay. I don't know. What'd you guys think of it?
I'm in the same boat. It's such an interesting book, because it's like, oh yeah, it did everything right, but it's also like, oh, I'm kind of bored, right? Because it's in my top 5, because I also didn't read that many books this week, but in another week I don't think it would be, because it's cookie cutter. It's just like, all right, I've seen Batman go against Joker. I've seen him have an identity crisis. I just don't know if I care. And it's hard because the art is so good and it fits so well for this book, but it's just kind of there. That's the best way to put it. It's not bad, but it's not great.
I agree overall, but I do like that it was at least a different attack tactic, where he's attacking the mentors that made Batman Batman. I thought that's an interesting twist on it. And I also like that, Batman, at least this alter ego, which I hate the alter ego. I wish they would just get over that. I'm done with that. But at least it's given us something to where he actually wants to kill the Joker, which is a place that Bruce would never go. And seeing him being helpless against that urge, I think at least there's some interesting elements in this story that make it a little unique. But
Mhm.
you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to end up like all Joker Batman stories end up. I agree.
What'd you think of like him now living in an apartment and having to disguise himself going to this apartment now?
Well, I think that was kind of built into this
Yeah.
version because he lost the mansion a little while ago.
Yeah, he lost the
Um,
mansion, but then he was also in that other place, and now he lost
Yeah.
that, and now he's in just some random apartment.
Yeah, it's the thing is he's like going off the grid to, you know, separate himself from the Bat family and stuff, but the Bat family learned under Batman. They're detectives. They probably know where he is already anyway, so what's the point? Is my only thinking about that. I mean,
Right.
it's cool to see him go to ground, but at the same time it's like, was there really a point in that? So
I mean, so and what do you think of like based off of the events of Gotham War? What do you think of
what
him
events?
being disconnected from the Bat family though? He has no access to anything
I
now.
feel like that's so
yeah,
boring.
Like it's
It's-
so I feel
I
like
agree.
it's so deconstructing of the character that is it just a safe way for Chip Zdarsky to be like, okay, I don't have to write anybody else now. All I have to
Pretty
write
much,
is
yeah.
just freaking Batman.
It's a
I mean,
shame
I
because
can see.
Tim was such a cool part of his run, right?
Yeah.
What are you
Right.
gonna say, Brent?
I agree. No, I was just gonna say, like, it's funny to me the success of the webtoon where it's all about the family, and then here it's like, let's just get rid of the whole family and just
And
focus
what's
on
more
Batman.
successful, the webtoon, you
Right.
know, like it's like
Right.
more people. It's more successful because more people are reading it, but then B, it's more successful because it seems like more people are enjoying it. Like I have not
Yeah.
heard anyone say anything bad about that Batman webtoon. They're like, oh, it's so much fun, but then also it's like these characters you know and love, and you actually get to see them interact.
Yeah.
David puts a question on there and he goes, thoughts on the Vandal Savage.
I didn't read it. I didn't. I don't.
I did
I
read
skipped
it.
it.
So he's living in the mansion, right? Is that what it is?
He's trapped in Gotham. He can't leave Gotham because the source of his power
That's
is
right.
in Gotham.
Yes.
And so if he leaves, he starts getting weaker. So he's basically trying to take over Gotham now.
And he lives in the mansion.
Right. And he lives in the mansion.
Yep. So
There
that's
is a
Batman. So
webtoon.
it's just very I don't know, it's just very mediocre. And it just sees, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. And then Batman gets, you know, trapped in
Zur-En-Arr. Yeah.
He's the one he's the one now that has to face the Joker. So
yeah.
let me see. I don't know.
That color scheme, man. Zur-En-Arr.
I can't stand that name. I can never say it right.
I can't stand the look of it, the name, any of it. I don't like it.
Then it's all these different versions of them too. Did you see that at the end in that last page too? I'm like, it's a Zur-En-Arr Spider-Verse. Oh gosh. All right. Let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man issue.
So exciting.
Right?
It was amazing.
One thing I need to
Amazingly
talk about
bad.
is that interlude. For like, honestly, I can almost accept Rec Rap being this arc, but that interlude, I'm like, this is one of the messiest comics I've read ever. It's just randomly this gang war situation where honestly, I was actually
the same thing.
Right. And honestly, I was excited for the gang war because I was like, oh, it's going to be something different. It's going to be grounded. It makes me less excited for this event.
Listen,
it's just funny you mention it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Actually, I might be reversed here. I hated all the Rec Rap stuff, and all I wanted to read was the gang war thing. So me seeing that part of it was like, that's a story I just want to see. I don't care about Rec Rap in there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sense?
I don't care about Rec Rap. I'm so over that thing. You know, they should have left that with Dark Web. But I agree with you, Kat. The way that interlude was handled, and it was just like, oh, we forgot to mention gang war. Let's throw a couple pages in here.
That's true.
It was just so messy. I agree.
Yeah, from a storytelling point of view, I can literally not think of another comic that has ever done that ever. Like, and we've been reading comics for a very long time, and I literally can't tell you any comic who's ever done that.
It was weird. Yeah. It really feels like it was like, oh, we forgot to put anything about gang war in there. This is supposed to be a prelude. All right, let's commission those 2 pages. Let's get that up. Or one page. I don't even know how much it was, but yeah.
The interesting part of the story, the main story, not the gang war part, was like, did you notice how Norman was an asshole to Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shows you that I think him creeping back into the Goblin thing is coming back, though, because he blew him off. No matter what happened previously, right? He would always help Peter, no matter what the case. And he was like, I have all these other people to take care of. I don't need you to come to me for your problems. And I was like, oh, dang, he was really short with him. So that was an interesting tidbit there. But this was just so disappointing. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so at least they'll be done with it after this one.
No, one more
There's
issue.
another freaking story to this. I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
that was the most disappointing part, because I really thought this was the last part. It's funny because Serenity, if you guys have been watching the show for a long time, we usually have different opinions from Serenity, and we do here, but I think Serenity gives a really good answer. Wreck-Rap's adorable. He's like a kitten given human adult form. Very cartoony, gives me bonkers vibe, but he needs his own comic, like an Affinity Mini or something. 100% agree. If you like Wreck-Rap, the Affinity comics, I think, are actually kind of perfect for this character, because I think they're kind of built for a younger audience, and it seems like younger audiences are reading the Affinity comics. So yeah, do something like that. There's one thing I liked about this book is how they did like the Silver Age kind of vibe. I thought that was really interesting. The art's really good.
Art was good, yeah.
But it's not. It's not Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't mind Wreck-Rap as a character. I think he's kind of funny at times. I'm over that in the main Amazing Spider-Man book. I want Peter to have his own journey. I don't want him to be sidetracked by all this nonsense. And I think that's my disconnect with it. I just want something different.
My thing is that I hate when books have forced humor. And that's why I don't like Harley Quinn. That's why I don't like Deadpool, because all that humor I feel like is forced. And Wreck-Rap is the same thing. It's forced. In a Spider-Man comic book, right? Who's supposed to be the quippy one? Who's supposed to be the funny one? It's supposed to be Peter. We don't need some guy, some imitation, like overpowering him. And so it does make sense what you guys say. Put him in a kid's book. Put him in an Infinity thing. Make it a digital comic. Whatever the case may be. There's a place for him, but it's not here. It's not in this title.
Look at Jeff the Landshark. I think does a great job. And obviously Jeff was actually a character that people wanted, and I think that's a big difference too. And why that comic does well is because you built him into a book, but also he didn't overstay his welcome. He never was really a main character of West Avengers. It's just that people liked him and you're like, oh wait, maybe we can make this little Infinity comic. And his character fits very well for something like that. It's kind of like Lucky from Hawkeye. So it's just, he feels very forced. I don't love the humor. I think the art's really the only great side of Wreck-Rap. And I don't know. It's so sad to see an arc so good turn into this, and knowing it's going to happen. So when we read that arc, we almost said our goodbyes. We're like, we know this is the end of enjoying Spider-Man for a while. And obviously we'll talk about the news with Spider-Man and all that. And we'll get to that, because I'm sure everyone in the comments are like, how about Spider-Man? We'll get there.
Yeah, we're doing comics first this week, guys, and then we'll dive into the news.
Brent, you're gonna have a lot of thoughts on that one, and look at the writer for it too.
So. Yeah, new news stories that I did not see for the people out there.
It was released like 2 hours ago, so I don't blame you.
Okay.
All right, so let's go into our number 5. Kat, what was your number 5?
Mine was, I think, Shazam. And again, that's more out of default. I would say my number 4 and number 5 were default picks. The Mary teams up with Billy in this one, so that was fun. The artwork is still really good. I like the colors, but you're not missing anything all at the same time. The main story is not very interesting. There's some fun character dynamics, and the kids who don't have powers, them wanting to have the powers, I think is interesting, but it also is not I feel like because Mark Waid's been working on so many things, I don't feel like anything has really nailed it recently, and I think that's a shame. And DC does that a lot. They tire their writers and don't just keep them on that one great book. They're like, here's 2 others, and damn, Moore, you want to work on this too? Like, it's just too much.
Which book was this?
Shazam.
Oh, Shazam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I want to love this book.
Same.
I just don't.
I want to keep
it's not
it.
bad.
Yeah, because it's not horrendous, but it's also like if you're
No.
at a point where you're getting 20 books a week, let's say, I could see this easily being a book you drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, I love the creative team. I love the characters, and I did like Freddy at the end being like, you know, wanted to take over the powers. I thought that was interesting. So hopefully the next arc will be better. I didn't love this previous arc though.
Me either, but I agree.
All right. And Bram, what was your number 5?
Mine was actually Batman, believe it or not.
Batman. All right, my number 5 was Petrol Head. This book right here.
Oh, it's Image. I was like, I don't even think I heard of that one.
Yeah, I didn't either until I went to the shop, and I thought it was really cool, man, because it's just like this world where Earth is obviously climate control. Earth is basically dead at this point, and it's surrounded by domes, right? And so this world is entertained by these cars, right? And they're like robots, and they like race and stuff like that. And it's this whole story on like how these things wind up getting extinct, except maybe for a couple robots. But then there's this renowned scientist, as years has gone by, he has this way of solving the pollution crisis or whatever it is, and they're relying on him. They basically kept him and his daughter prisoner so they could figure out this problem. And he's feeling the pressure, and it looks like that these guys escaped, like the daughter and the father. And this robot that was once this, you know, huge racer finds them, and now they're chasing after him. The artwork was gorgeous in this book. The action was really good in this book. Overall, it was a lot of fun. It was something that I had no idea really existed, and I picked it up on a whim, and I really enjoyed it. So definitely something different. I definitely recommend it if you guys haven't checked it out.
I did read it. It didn't quite meet my top 5, but I did enjoy it. It gave me like 80s vibes.
Yeah.
It felt like something I would have seen as an animated movie in the 80s.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Yeah. So I thought it was a fun first issue. And I like that he protected the humans, but, you know, out of self-interest, not so much to protect the humans.
Yeah. I like how he busted out with his car, and he's just like, well, let's go, you know. But I think it's kind of cool. I think it, for me, like, I liked it over Batman. I think that's why I picked it, because it was something different, really.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about God's issue 2. I have this marked, and I can tell you that I got through one page, and I'm like, I'm done.
I'm glad I didn't miss anything then.
I can't. Guys, this book is like reading a freaking encyclopedia. If you guys know, the younger audience know even what an encyclopedia is. It's freaking ridiculous, dude. I'm just like, comic books should not be like this. With all this dialogue in here, I'm like, this is a snooze fest. This is going to be a chore to read. And if it's going to be like that, I'm not reading it anymore.
Especially with characters you don't know. They're new characters.
Yeah. I mean, Doctor Strange was more in this one than last one, but still, yeah, it was mostly about the other characters that we just met last issue. And I will say that I liked issue 1 better.
Oh, God.
That says anything. Yeah, right. Because I thought it had like the more emotion with the couple that had to break up in that first issue, but this one was just all about them pursuing their respective positions in this war or whatever.
No,
and it was fairly boring. Yeah. It was a lot of jargon, a lot of just like still set up. I think the most things that happened was finding out like something more about the villain, which I still didn't understand what was going on there. But yeah,
It's like, who gives a flying, you know what? You know, I mean, come on, man. There's just the comic can't be that way. It just can't.
It's just this book had so much hype, so I'm really disappointed by it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anyone's talking about it.
They don't want to read such a dense comic book. You know, you need to make these characters enjoyable if they're going to be brand new, and then you're just over explaining everything. It's not necessary.
That is definitely what I get nervous about with Ultimate Spider-Man is Hickman himself. But we'll see. I'm still hoping for the best.
It's not even the denseness or density or whatever. I don't know what I would say, but it's not even that part of it that bothers me. It's that in all of that discussion, not much is said. That's the problem, I think.
Right. No, I totally get that. All right, so let's talk about Birds of Prey. This is issue 3. Listen, guys, I'm not really digging this book. I mean, I liked issue 1 because I liked the concept of how the team was put together. And then issue 2, it took them a long time to discuss this plan. And now issue 3, they're executing the plan. But I don't know. I don't find myself like really intrigued. And I'm learning that even though I did like the artwork in the first issue, I'm starting to feel like that the artwork doesn't really fit this comic book.
I think the coloring, because they're trying to go so 90s, it's like, oh, this is a weird look. This book,
I'm so flat coloring style.
Yeah, very flat. This book is so weird for me because I like it, but I want to love it. And when I say I like it, I think it's like a kind of middle of the road book that I'm reading. In this issue, it's fine. We get, for this week, it's still in my top 5, but I liked seeing them go to Themyscira. I think it was fun seeing Harley Quinn, but there's something about it that doesn't hit West Coast Avengers vibes for me that I'm still waiting for, where the character dynamics are electric, it's hysterical, or there's a real emotional pull, and that's not there yet. But obviously, I want to continue to see where this goes, but it's not. I don't love the book as much as I thought I would.
I think a lot of it has to do with the art, in my opinion. Like, yes, we talk about the coloring, but the art feels very stiff to me. So, like, when you go and like
it's the same artist as West Coast Avengers. No, it's the same artist as Hawkeye.
Yeah. So, for some reason, Hawkeye it worked, right? But here, it just doesn't seem that way. I just think like you look at these certain characters, and I feel like they should be drawn a different way, and the action should be different. I didn't like the real action scenes with like Green Arrow and Diana, and I just thought like the fight seemed flat, and I don't know, man. It's just not hitting with me the way I thought maybe it should, you know?
I actually don't mind the art at all, and I like the action in this book. But I still agree it's a middle of the road book. It's not as good as I hope it would be. I do think this issue is better than issue 2, but not as good as issue 1. So
I would agree on that. I would agree on that for sure. Yeah.
Because Oliver was great. I think he had, someone mentioned it, the Oliver scene was really good. I think Wonder Woman was really cool. But why am I rooting for characters that aren't main characters of this book?
Yeah. And you also have this problem with, like, I love the collection of characters we have in this, and I love the potential dynamic that they have. But at the same time, you think of Cassandra and Big Barda and Zealot, and they're all very similar characters in a certain way. And we haven't, dove any deeper into their characters and the connection between them. Mainly, it's been focused on Harley and her fitting into this group. And I think we need to get beyond that, to keep building. But I would totally understand if you dropped off of this, Mike. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I out of love for Cassandra, I'm gonna stick with the book, and I like Black Canary, and I think Kelly Thompson is a really good writer, as we know, and I have hope in that. But again, I just thought this was gonna be a number 1. I thought this was gonna be my favorite book of the year, and that's not even close.
I mean, so look at this. So it's very average, right, for what it is, and it's the opening story, opening story arc. What's it going to be? 5 issues, 6 issues, 7 issues from now?
I'm hoping the character is more developed, because even if
right.
plot is, because the plot of Sin is whatever, I don't actually care. But like, if you could tell me, like, I think a great example is that She-Hulk story where they were just doing book club. If you could do something like that with the Birds of Prey, it doesn't have to be a big plot. Just tell me a good character story.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be for you, but for the mass audience that loves Birds of Prey, that is not going to be enough to keep this book afloat.
Well, what do people like about Birds of Prey, though? I think for any other comic, if you were saying this is an Avengers comic, that's good enough. Like, that's not good enough for Avengers comic. Birds of Prey is kind of known for doing that already. So if they do the things that they made successful in the past, like, they're not, I mean, obviously the Birds of Prey, like, it span out of like a lot of the Suicide Squad stuff, and we got to see the buildup of that, but mostly it was about their friendship. Like, that's why people like that book. So if you do that, that's what people kind of expect already.
So you're expecting good character interaction between.
Yeah. Do you remember a plot in Birds of Prey? Because I don't. But do I remember the Huntress and Black Canary are good friends? Do I love Barbara and Black Canary's dynamic? Hell yeah. That's what I remember about the book.
Yeah. That's true.
So I guess we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. All right. So let's move on. What are we at here?
Dark Ride, I think.
Dark Ride, yeah. Dark Ride issue 9. Brant doesn't read this book, right? So, but you and I, Kat, definitely read this book. So this issue is really, really good, man.
Yeah.
How Halloween just went all out and just like killed that guy that was basically going after her. And they finally realized that they sold the dad sold the soul to the devil, the kids' souls to the devil. I thought that was really interesting. I mean, it's just overall just an entertaining book, how every single issue you find a little bit more about what happened to this family and why this park actually exists.
Yeah, it goes back to character development. It's interesting because you always get a little nervous when a book takes a hiatus and they come back. But first of all, Dark Ride's hiatus wasn't long, which was great.
No.
And then they pick it up with like kind of a new season where it's like, actually, let's learn more about this character that's kind of been in the background, but she's been important. And let's give you a twist in the end to show you we're going a completely different direction with this book. And it's interesting because also Phantom Road came back this week. And I really loved Phantom Road, the first arc. And I didn't love this issue because I forgot a lot of the stuff that happened. I thought it was kind of the same old stuff we were getting, and there was no twist. But this is such a good example of how to get back from a hiatus that it's so interesting that they both came out in the same week.
It gets you excited again.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I liked about it. But overall, just great story, man. I just, God, it was so good, and I like now how they have to find I forgot the son's name, the son's daughter. They have to find her.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either.
Yeah. No, it's called Autumn. Her name is Autumn. Yeah. So there's that part as well too. Because he winds up going to her and he's like, is that blood on the floor? And she's like, no, it's part of my my act and whatnot. And then he tells her the whole story about what was going on and whatnot. But yeah,
that the granddaughter or the daughter of the son is also probably her soul is also sold to the devil.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot that was sold to the devil for sure to make this park run.
It's cool that it's not just a book about theme park. It's definitely more than that. But then so also the theme park. But the theme park makes it very different than other books. It's just Williamson knows how to write character-driven stories and give you a nice twist and kind of really keep the pacing. We've seen that with Robin, seen it with Superman, and we see it with this book. And I'm sure we'll see it with G.I. Joe as well.
Yep. Actually, really good. So I'm excited about this one going forward. But you made a good point, though, with the Jeff Lemire book. Because I remember reading it and I'm like, I don't remember what's quite happening. And then I wasn't sure on the person she was talking to, the detective. And then I was kind of like, okay, how many times are we going to go back and forth with them facing like the upside down people? Like we've seen that 1,000 times, So I just want something more. I want more story progression from that book, even though I still like it and I'll still read it.
No, I very much agree. Let me get this comment. Well, first, I don't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, so I'm not sure if it's the same idea. I didn't see the movie.
No,
I know it's
not.
a video game, but
no, it's definitely not.
Parker Luckax, guys, you have a feeling that the Spider-Man gang war is going to be very similar to the Batman Gotham war. I really don't know how to feel about it myself.
No,
I hope not. I don't know.
Unless there's meteorites falling from the sky that they have to collect. I mean, no, I don't think so. I really wouldn't think so.
Well, I mean, I think
really
maybe the
war.
question. Yeah, exactly. There was no war. But I think the question is more than do you think it's going to be similar in the way of like, oh, we're just utilizing this to sell books and not actually do anything? Because might be true.
That's what it seems like events are these days in general. But I feel like just even reading the couple of interludes that were in these spider books, it literally seems like the different families are going to be coming together to do battle against each other, because in this issue we saw the Magia, and the previous issue we saw the return of Silvermane. So I feel like we're going to get more of a war than a gang war or Gotham war storyline.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's move on to our number 4. Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Batman, so we already talked about it.
What about you, Brent?
Mine was The Madness, number 4.
I forgot to pick that up.
Oh yeah? So I won't spoil it too much, but this issue she's going after their Wonder Woman character, and this character, Miss Victory, I think is her name. She has no actual powers, but she has like another member of the team, the one that abstained from the vote, the one that voted not to kill her family, is her protector, and she's sworn to protect her. And so they have this squaring off, and she decides to help her out and like give her information on the rest of the team to take them out. And yeah, so and it also it does a little flashback on how she met her husband, how they fell in love, and all this stuff.
Oh, that's
how
cool.
how he was actually kind of a spy too. So and they were at odds at first. So it was a really good issue, I thought. So there's only 2 more to go, and I've been really pleasantly surprised by this book.
Cool, awesome. All right, and then I have my number 4 was actually, I don't know, man. I might be in minority in this, but mine was the Punisher.
You're definitely in the minority for that.
Like the Punisher.
So
you liked it. Then I'm in the minority for that.
So a lot of people are going to say, well, this is the exact same thing. Why is Frank Castle not around? Blah, 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 blah. And like, I get it. I totally get it. And I said that in my review as well. Like I said, it's very cookie cutter. We've seen it before. The one little twist in there is that he's not trying to be the Punisher. He doesn't want to be the Punisher, right? It's just people are seeing him on the news, calling him the Punisher. Like they think it's the return of Frank Castle. So he's just like, well, if I got to do what I got to do, that's all it is. But just because what we see in issue 1 doesn't mean it's going to continue that way in issue 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is. I feel like this is the first issue. It starts off similar, and then I think it's going to veer off very differently, in my opinion, anyway. I did like the art. I thought it was good. I do like the investigative part of it in the beginning. I like his little side partner, as well. I thought that person was kind of cool. And I don't know. I thought it was a good story. I mean, again, yes, it's very similar. We've seen the story before, but it doesn't mean it was a bad read. I thought it was a good read, and it had me going for another issue.
As someone who doesn't, and I know you don't love the Punisher either, but I think as someone who doesn't love the Punisher, that's what it is a similar vibe. Not even saying it's similar vibe to Frank. It's just that I don't tend to like this type of storytelling with the Punisher. The reason I liked the previous volume because it felt nothing like that. And
Right.
for me, you know, I love good character. I just saw the movie The Killer on the David Fincher movie on Netflix, and that's a great example of like what I would want a Punisher movie to be. It's like very introspective. I understand the character. Like I like him. You know, I like what I want to follow him. And there was no point here where I wanted to follow this new Punisher. I didn't feel for him like I didn't. Why I like the previous volume so much is because it was so character driven. That isn't what I got here. But I also agree. I don't think people should be like, it's garbage because he's new Punisher. Where's Frank? Like, no, give it a shot if you like Punisher. For me, is more of a character thing where I couldn't get into the character. I probably won't get issue 2 because of that.
And I completely get that. I'm not a huge Punisher fan either, and I really like that last run. So I think we're all like that as far as that book went. But yes, it's very similar to Frank Castle's story. Even his family gets taken out, and he's out for revenge. But I like the motivation that he wasn't like out to start a cause. He was just trying to get the people responsible for killing his family and then be done.
Yes,
and because they got away or whatever, he's pulled back into this life as a former SHIELD agent. I thought that was also a nice twist. Instead of a former cop, you got a former SHIELD agent who's got connections and all this tech and all these skills and all that. It could easily become just a typical Punisher story. I'm hoping they do something a little bit more and we delve into his personality and his past and all that stuff in future issues, and it's not just let's go kill everybody. But I thought this was a decent version of a different kind of Punisher. And I like the fact that he's not trying to be the Punisher. It's like happenstance. Right. So I thought it was a solid issue.
I mean, people are just easily to dismiss it because it's the easy thing to do.
Not you, Kat, just in general.
People giving it and that's why I want to make a big difference of what I was saying about the book is more of like, this isn't built for me, but that doesn't mean I think Punisher fans actually would like this book if they gave it a shot because it's so similar to Punisher. And I agree. I wish more people would give something a shot. I was actually very excited for this book because I'm friends with David. I wish him all the success in everything he's done with Marvel and everything he's done with indie books. And I love what he's been doing. So I wanted to love this book. It's just, it wasn't built for me, and that's okay. But also you shouldn't go into it being like, this is going to be horrible, because you could be surprised. Who the hell knew we were going to love that Jason Aaron Punisher so much? I didn't. I read it randomly and I said, wow, that actually was great.
We automatically sometimes discredit things because it's not the thing that you liked the most when you read it. You know what I'm saying? Or it's the character that you grew up to, that you read issues and issues and issues of, and I get it. We're all set in our ways, in certain characters and whatnot, but sometimes it's like, give it a try, be optimistic. Don't automatically discredit things.
Sure, I agree. Honestly, celebrate that Marvel's doing something different, giving us a different character and just reinventing a little bit. Space Case says, Nightcrawler, Spidey, how many drugs were consumed for that idea? And then Storm Shadow says, I actually like that book. And honestly, me too. That's actually a really good example of a book that I first saw. I'm like, that's so stupid. And then you read it and you're like, actually, this is kind of fun. Like who knew this mashup would be fun?
Right.
Yeah. All right, so there's that one. All right, so we just talked about Punisher, and we talked about Shazam, so we're going to dive right into the number 3. I'll kick it off with Brant this time. So what's yours, Brant?
It's funny because my number 3 is actually Uncanny Spider-Man.
There you go.
I really enjoyed this, but I did think issue 2 was better than this issue because we had a lot of what's his name, Nimrod. And I could have done without that whole section of Nimrod and Vulture. But other than that, I really like what they're doing with Nightcrawler and this whole out of the blue romance with Silver Sable, I think is really fun. And speaking of somebody, I think it was Storm Shadow, or no, it was Space. Who was it? About the tail. Let me find the comment. Space. I don't remember. I can't find it now, but somebody said something about how would they not notice the tail, and I think it was an issue too where she's like won't let go of the tail, and she's like, this tail is so velvety and stuff, and she's just like obsessed with this tail. I think it's pretty funny, but I like this issue. I like Kurt anyway, and I like that they're like kind of picking him apart. Like he's just like having fun. Going out there speaking like a pirate and all this stuff, and then this romance side of it, and just the whole Nimrod stuff. Again, it's a little boring, but the book in general I think is really good and better than, like you said, Kat, any of us ever expected it to be. So
it has a fun vibe because it is so X-Men, but then it is also so Spider-Man. So if you like both franchises, I think it's a cool mishmash. I also agree. I don't think issue 3 was the strongest, but it is a middling issue where you're like, you kind of got to get to the point type story. But yeah, give it a shot. Like and also because it's the writer who's been writing Nightcrawler, it actually develops the character. So if you like Nightcrawler, you're actually getting story from him. It's a fun book. Look, is it gonna be top 5 book of the year? No, but that doesn't mean I'm not having a good time with it. The art's good. I'm so pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, solid comic, solid book. I enjoyed it too. When I opened it up and the first page is them doing it like a Batman and Catwoman did in the New 52, I'm like, what is happening here, man? Like, I didn't see that coming, you know. But I agree. It was though a little slow for my taste because there was a lot of exposition in there with, with their relationship. And like Brant said, the whole Nimrod situation. And I think with that combined, it made for a slower issue, but I think it's like it's a bridge, right, to get to the next exciting part of the story, which you did see at the end as we got to see some of his friends that are possessed by that new vulture tech or whatever it is that they're possessed by.
Yeah. The Warlock, right?
Yeah, exactly. From Warlock. And I thought it was cool. I mean, I liked it. And like Kat said, it doesn't have to be the best. It's not bad. It's entertaining. It's fine. And I liked it. It is what it is, Not every book has to hit it out of the park. It just, I think what it reminded me of is just like when I was a kid reading comic books and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I really like this. And that's what what it is.
Yeah. And I also read like 2 and 3 back to back. So I was just like on the high from 2 as well. But yeah, go ahead, Kat.
I was just going to say Storm Shadow says same thing. How much do we have to recycle old stories? That's also a big point of why I like Uncanny Spider-Man, because it's just so different than what you've ever read. And, how can Marvel reinvent itself? And it's hard. And we're seeing that with a lot of the flagship titles, especially. But it's kind of fun where you get this book that's allowed to kind of escape the big name of Spider-Man. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And that you feel that in this book where you're like, yeah, we have Spider-Man in our name, but it really is a book where the writer's telling its story,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And let's see, Kat, what was yours?
Number 3 was Birds Prey, where we talked about it.
Gotcha. My number 3 was a book we also already talked about, and that was Dark Ride. So we move on to number 2. And Thanos. Yeah.
You gotta talk about your Thanos. I didn't read it, so.
Oh,
this is sucky. Brant, you read this?
It was that bad. Yeah, I read it.
Come on, yes, it was.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was no like great book or anything, and it didn't really get interesting till towards the end. But
that was interesting. Hey guys, we're Doctor Strange, and we're the Illuminati, and you got to come with us. Okay.
I like the concept of the Illuminati. I always have. I like that they have to fight Thanos, but the lead up to that was rather boring. Telling it with a character that nobody knows. Yes, I agree. There was a lot of exposition in this book.
Yeah. Emo character that likes The Bachelor. And we got like 8 pages of that.
Look, a person who likes The Bachelor, there's a lot of story to be told there.
Thanos doesn't even appear in the book until the end of the book. and he doesn't even say anything. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just, for me, I was expecting something much different than what we got here. And when
I
agree. When I see Thanos, this is not what I expect. It really isn't. And this was just a disappointment for me. And, you know, I didn't care about this girl. She wasn't interesting. I guess maybe she might be deaf. Maybe she's supposed to be deaf, but in like girl form. She goes back to the pharmacy that she worked at, and you get this stupid intercom that's constantly like playing freaking music and shit. And then it's like, oh, come to over here. And it's so, oh my God. I didn't like this book.
It would make sense if she was deaf, because Thanos has that past with death.
Right.
So yeah, that would make perfect sense. So
because they're like, oh yeah, there's something special about you. And he wants her. So it's got to be something like that.
Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to be so hard on you on that.
It's fine. It's okay. It's middle of the road. I'm not saying it's like, oh, this is in my top 5 or anything crazy like that.
No, it's no White. If you guys are talking about White Widow, you might have different opinions.
That's right, because Grant liked it.
I did like it. And I did do a video on it, like I said.
Kat and
I enjoyed it.
Oh, Kat didn't even read it.
I didn't even read it. Yeah, so that's how much of a fan I was.
I like the MCU version of White Widow, and I thought this embraced that version of her. So,
one thing I also want to say, because last week we had a whole conversation about the Marvel Universe, and I was kind of shitting on the Marvels. Go see the movie because it's actually really good.
That's all I've heard from everybody.
I heard the same thing. I heard the same thing. And I heard that, and please, no one spoil this.
Don't. There actually is spoilers too, which is like one thing I loved about the movie is that things actually happen in it. So that's why I'm so surprised. So many people are like, "Oh, this is so shitty." It's like, but, come on.
And I heard that there's like the credit scenes are really good too. So
they are.
So I'm excited to actually go see it when I do see it.
It's actually a character-driven movie. It's short. It gets to the point. There's humor. It's an actually good movie, and I want to spread the word on that. Sometimes, like especially recently, besides Black Panther and Shang-Chi, I haven't liked really any of this new era of the MCU. But this is honestly very surprising, and I hope more people go see it because I think it deserves more love. And I think it's a shame that it had such a bad liftoff because of naysayers.
Do you know what changed my thought process on this movie just a little bit? Was the final trailer during Monday Night Football, because it took it from this cutesy, fun-go-lucky girls movie, which I'm not saying there's not scenes in there that might be, but it made it a little bit more serious. Like there was more at stake, and it wasn't so light. It wasn't so lighthearted. And I'm like, it looks a little bit more serious to where, man, maybe more people might see it if they see this particular trailer. Because you know how the previous trailers, it made it look so like, you know what I'm saying? Like a Disney Plus show almost.
It's a really good mixture of it all. So like especially like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Miss Marvel, I think has a really good presence. If you like the show, I actually think it's kind of better than the show. They did some interesting stuff there, but there is like the moments of like the three of them hanging out and being girls but not just like, not in a way that feels like it's like, oh, it's a girls movie. Like it actually is like, no, you're making these characters be friends because you have to, because it's character work. But there is a lot of seriousness. There's a lot of seriousness, honestly. There's a lot of emotional weight in this movie. It's one of the better Marvel movies in such a long time. And I'm looking forward to when you guys do watch it. I think you guys are going to feel the same way and be like, what? I feel so bad that happened to this movie because it's so good. It really is good.
It got a bad rap from the start.
No.
So many people I've seen online have given it like a 7.5 out of 10. And it's just like, okay. Yeah. I'm actually excited.
4 out of 5. It's good.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Stay until the end, like everyone said. There's some big moments.
Yeah, of course. It's a Marvel movie.
All
Haven't
right.
seen the
Well,
movie, but I've heard people say it's not good. A lot of people who said it's not good has not seen the movie, and that's something that's been so funny to see on the
Probably.
internet. Where, yeah, because I did a newsletter on the Marvels, and I shared in like a comic book creator group, and there was someone who said like, "Well, yeah, it doesn't deserve good stuff," and I was like, "Oh, did you see the movie?" And they're like, I don't need to see the movie. And everyone who commented who said it was bad did not see the
yeah.
movie. And everyone who commented is
Yeah.
like, well, actually, you should see the movie because it's pretty good.
Hopefully,
That's what. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
hopefully it becomes word of mouth that this movie is
Yeah.
actually good, and sales will increase as time goes along, and it
Or
will
Disney Plus.
hang around. Yeah, or Disney Plus, but you would like it to do well in the movie theater and gain momentum, you know?
What were you going to say before,
Yeah.
Brant?
I was just gonna say it's kind of similar to what you were saying earlier about the comics, Mike, just prejudging stuff without like really giving it a chance.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what many people do.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
absolutely. All right, let's keep moving here with the comics because we got a lot of news to talk about. We're gonna go on to number 2 because we talked about the other books. So, what was your number 2, Brent?
Punisher. So we already talked about it.
Sweet. Cat?
Mine was Transformers. We already talked about it.
Mine was 8 Billion Genies Wish World. So I finally got a chance to read it. I got it in the mail. I read it in the car last week, and I love this story. So it was so good. And it was about a boy that, well, the time period is from when the wishes first started, that initial, when the genies appeared, to 8 years later. That's how long this boy was around. And his wish was to see, and because he was blind. And what happens is the boy and was it the mom? Yeah, the mom, they actually make that same wish at the exact same time. So the genies had to go into conference with each other and go, what are we going to do? Because these wish happen at the same time. So they gave this boy the power of seeing. They had 2 sets of eyes. One eye of seeing normal, but one set of eyes could see the future and all these different realms of possibilities. And you get to see the journey of this boy and his mother through 8 years, all the way into the very end of what happens to this boy. It's a very heartfelt story. This boy was very selfless, and just seeing that world again was great. And I really enjoyed this story. This is a book that Charles Soule could have thrown together and just say, I'm going to make $30 off of this or whatever it is. He put his heart and soul in this book. You could tell it's very well written, very well drawn. Definitely worth the $30 I paid for it, and it's signed too. So, you get that on top of it too. So really great stuff there.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you were able to get a copy.
It's so funny when you told me about it. Like I jumped on and bought it like immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, I bought it.
Yeah.
So definitely recommend it if somewhere you can find it besides, a physical copy.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about
Midlife.
Midlife, How to Be a Hero at 50, issue 2. I was the only one that read this one, right? So
oh man, I didn't even notice.
Well, because I had marked it at first, and I was like, "Oh wait, I missed it. I didn't even get it. I forgot about it."
Oh,
I just saw it on the list. I was like, "Oh well, yeah, I got to read that." And then I was like, "Oh no, I don't have it."
It was cool. It opens up again with another movie situation back in the past. This time they talk about Blade, and they're like, "What's all these shitty Blade freaking vampire movies and these comic book movies? They all suck. They're not going to amount to anything," which is hilarious. And then you just get to see the guy. I'm going to be short about this, like how he deals with having these powers for the first time.
Yeah.
And he finds out some history about his dad as well. And then we get introduced to maybe a couple bad guys at the end of this issue. So very well worth it. If you decide to see if you can get the second issue, I would say pick it up. I think it's really, really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely wanted to give it at least one more issue. So yeah, for sure.
All right. And then with that being said, let's move on to our number one. I know Brant's is going to be Transformers. Mine's Transformers. So what's Cat's?
Mine's Dark Ride. So
all right.
One for me. Look, Transformers made number 2. As someone who knows jack shit about Transformers, I think that's pretty good.
Emotional story, man. I love it. If he can continue to drive that type of emotion in a Transformers book, that's solid stuff right there, man. And he did. And it wasn't just Optimus either. It had to do with a freaking secondary character with Carly. Out of all people, not even Spike, it was Carly this time. So that was tough, man. That was a tough scene there. All right, so now I guess we're going to move on to news.
Yes, but first, I know we both have Kickstarters going on. So, Brant, do you want me to do my Kickstarter first? Or you want to do yours?
Go ahead and do yours. Because I got to say,
I think you still have to pull yours. We have a Kickstarter going on right now. Slice of life, anime action adventure. And if you like Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Pokemon, there's a lot of references to that here. And then there's also other animes as well, like Demon Slayer, Spy Family. So if you like anime, this is the book to read. It's a parody on all your favorite animes. And also it's a new reader-friendly version of Slice of Life, which is our webtoon about an anime character comes to life and falls in love with a cheerleader. So if you just want a fun book, a one and done, you don't have to read anything else, go check it out. We're already funded, so you get the book automatically. I'm going to share it in the comments. And let's get into Brant's flagship book.
Yeah, so this is written by my wife. It's Bloom Pretty Forget Me Not #1. There is a previous issue, but it's kind of a prequel to this. It sets up this character right here, Silver. But this story is about Silver, who is trying to bring to justice the people that have caused her mother's disappearance. And so it's a fantasy book with like if you're a fan of Game of Thrones and stuff like that, it's got that level of intrigue, both political and romance and obsession and vengeance and action and all kinds of stuff. If you like any of that kind of stuff, you'll dig this. We are already funded as well. We're into our stretch goals. Let me scroll past some of those pages. And there's some of the action from the first book, and then I'll just show a little bit from this issue, and you can get both on this Kickstarter as well. We have about 2 weeks to go, so you can check it out at bloomprettycomic.com. That'll take you there, and there's some of the covers that we have. So there you go.
All right, and that's all the Kickstarter stuff. Go check out all those projects, and we're gonna get into some news because there's actually a lot of news to talk about. And we're gonna do the media first, and then we'll get into our big topic and all the other bigger news pieces that came out this week. But Marvel's only releasing one movie next year, which I think is a smart idea. I think, simmer people in. And also the movie, I'll read the other comment too. The movie being Deadpool, which, if any movie is going to do well, hopefully be Deadpool 3. I actually think this is a pretty smart move from Marvel as they kind of shift things around.
I agree. I think it's a strategy that they need. It goes from oversaturation to people wanting the movie, looking forward to a movie. And if there's a movie that they'll be looking forward to, it's going to be this one, right? And so obviously there's going to be Deadpool, there's going to be Wolverine, there's going to be probably many cameos of different characters in this comic book as well. And shit, if you do throw in Taylor Swift in this thing, this is going to be like $1 billion movie.
Oh my God, and Taylor Swift is Dazzler. People are going to go, look at how she's been doing at the AMC. I did not go see her at the AMC, but
no, I hope that rumor is true though. I really do, because I think that would be so cool.
It's perfect, and it's so easy.
Yeah,
it's so easy for her. It would make perfect sense, and it would make sense for the studio to do that, to just sit there and say, if we put Taylor Swift on our movie, people are going to want to see it because everybody's
money.
Yeah, it's a ton of money. They'll make their funding easily, So
Yeah,
no question.
even if she's there for 2 minutes,
yeah, she just sings a
you don't have
song.
to promise anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Infamous Mike Manhattan X. Isn't Sony releasing Venom 3, Madam Web,
Yes.
and Craven? Yes, but they're not MCU films. So Deadpool is considered an MCU
They're
film
Sony,
now
yeah.
that Disney owns
Right.
it. So, and also a lot of those have been shifted. I know Madam Web is, well, first of all, supposedly the trailer comes out tomorrow for Madam Web. And then Craven was literally supposed to come out in October. So they shipped it almost a whole year.
Yeah.
And then Venom 3, I think they're shifting around too.
November.
Yeah, Venom got moved to November.
Yeah.
So who knows if they're actually even going to stay in 2024? They've definitely been shifting those around because obviously the strike's over. So there's a lot of different things they need to refocus.
Was the Captain America movie supposed to come out next year? I know it's 2025 now. Yeah,
I think so. I think that was supposed to be next year, but also like there's a lot of thoughts with Captain America because I'm guessing that's very connected to the shows and very connected to everything. And you're like, oh wait, maybe we need to pull back on how connected everything is because we're confusing people now. So we'll definitely see about that. Next up is that Jeff Lemire isn't doing more TV after Essex County, which I thought was interesting because it was just like, yeah, no, I'm glad that it's a TV show, but it was so much work. And what's so interesting about comics is that you can have them made and they're actually made and they're your voice. And with TV, you got to go through like 10 billion people and it might not even ever hit the TV screen. So I just thought it was an interesting thing that he's like, yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I do have one more TV project, but other than that,
I'm excited for him, even if it was such an ordeal that Essex County is getting, what it deserves, because that's the book that put him on the map. And I have a friend that is a huge fan of that book, and that was his introduction to Lemire. It was my introduction to Lemire, and it was a very personal story for him. So I think it's cool that something's being done with it. But yeah.
Tevi said, "Who cares about Craven?" I'm so excited for that movie because I think he looks hot in the movie, but also I feel like other than that, I think it's going to be either the worst movie in the world or like at least something entertaining. But yeah, I don't know. That movie just looks weird. Also, same thing for Madam Web, where I'm just like, everyone looks hot in the movie, but then also this could be the worst movie ever. It's kind of like that Morbius situation where you're like, I just kind of want to see the train wreck.
Like you're like, Morbius, and then you saw it and you're like, holy crap, Morbius.
Yeah, I remember we were all like, "Oh, maybe it'll be as good as Venom," and then it was like,
no.
It
wasn't.
No, it was as good as Carnage.
Which I wish I didn't see.
I don't think it was as good as Carnage.
No, Carnage wasn't that good.
I actually haven't even seen Morbius because it came out during the pandemic, and then at that point, I was just like, "Should I see it?" And I never saw it. I have a feeling one of these days I'll end up seeing. I haven't seen that or New Mutants. Those are the two. And Eternals.
I really like New Mutants.
I haven't seen New Mutants. Eternals was a bore fest.
I like Eternals.
I get what they were. I get what they were trying to do there, but it was just like too long, too many characters. That's what it was for me.
It didn't look up my alley, and again, also came out during the pandemic, and I kind of missed it. I like seeing movies in theaters. If I don't, then I probably will miss it. Someone actually mentioned The Killer again, and if we watched it. I watched it randomly because it was just like this movie. I like David Fincher movies, so I was like, oh, it looks interesting, and then it looks up Cat's Alley, inner monologue. I watched it, and I watched it while I was like doing work. Because I was like, I'll put it on in the background. And then I just stopped doing work. I was like, I'm going to finish this movie because I really liked it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very me.
I added it to my list the other day. So I plan on watching it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I think you'll really like it. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of the Ed Brubaker book. And honestly, that's the cover interests me because of that. I'm like, is this like Kill or Be Killed type situation? And it's a very modern take on an assassin. And that's pretty, it's very modern. He literally works for like at a WeWork where he like sets up everything. So there's a lot of modern references and it's cool. If you like David Fincher's other films, you'll probably enjoy this. If you don't, then you probably won't enjoy it. But they all look very similar. All right, let's get into some comic news. So let's talk about our main topic, which is the DC thing. And mostly we want to talk about it because they revealed more about the timeline. So I think this is the third version of this timeline that now we are seeing. I'm actually going to screenshot it so you guys can see what I'm seeing. All right, so this is the timeline here. We have the Lazarus Planet, Night Thrasher, which I was like, did Lazarus Planet happen? It did. I just forgot about it. The Gotham War. Now we're getting to the Beast World, and then something evil is coming. So the Trinity of Evil they are teasing. See if is there any images? I don't remember. This is some.
It was
previews.
Mostly the Beast World stuff.
Yeah, they're very much teasing Beast World, and I guess whatever's going on with Amanda Waller. I have to say, I'm not very excited for Beast World. I don't even know why I'm still reading Titans. I just kind of read it out of habit. So I don't know. It's disappointing because DC started out, and we talked about this before, but Dawn of DC especially started out so great. It was such like you had Superman, you had Green Arrow, you even had Shazam and World's Finest, and you're like, oh, okay, you lost the momentum. And now there's not any excitement built in, even with this timeline. It's like, I don't care about Beast World. Give me good stories. Just continue to give me shocking character moments like in Green Lantern or Superman. Like that's what I want to see. I don't know. It didn't excite me.
Truly is the dawn of DC. It's nothing. It's just, I felt like they put a banner and they're just like, well, here's a few new titles. And then that's it, and it's like, that's what it feels to me. There's no real dawn of anything.
No, it's like, oh, Rebirth sold us a lot of books, so let's put another tag on it. That's all it was, really.
Right?
They gotta make it exciting.
I'm not excited. Yeah, I'm not excited for Beast World at all. Titans, unfortunately, has been a little bit boring, and the lead up to Beast World's been a little bit underwhelming. So yeah, hopefully something evil is coming? Is that what it said? Hopefully
that's like
good.
The Trinity of
Whatever
Evil.
it is.
I think John's involved, possibly maybe Dreamer. I'm not sure. It might be related to action. We'll go back to DC if there's more stuff, but we do have a comment from Andrew. Anyone read Red Light or Edenwood? Interestingly enough, I think we weren't on when Edenwood came out, and I didn't like it, but I'm sure it feels up your guys' alley. I feel like you guys probably
Red Light. I talked about it.
You didn't read Edenwood?
No.
Really? That's the Tony S. Daniel book.
Tony S. Daniel?
Oh, wait. Yeah, I did read that one. That's right. That was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we weren't on.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Edenwood. Okay. That was the story. I'm trying to remember now.
It was like this guy's girlfriend died.
She went missing and he went after
in this
her.
forest. Yeah.
That
kind of consumes everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, it was like these demons, and he was like a demon hunter. That's kind of like what he was.
Right.
I thought it was pretty cool. I think it can become a big convoluted mess because in the world, it feels like anything could go.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I felt like there was a little bit too much going on.
But I liked
it. And yeah, I liked it. I didn't it didn't blow me away as much as I'd hoped it would, but I did enjoy it. And I liked it at the end of that first issue. Yeah. At the end of that first issue, you're not sure if it's the guy or the guy that was with the guy that comes out at the end. So
yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's got a lot of potential, but we'll have to see where it goes. But I've read Red Light as well, which I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah, I did too. I like the main character of Lacey and how she wants to go out into the real world and experience what it is, because and just the whole concept of the book was pretty cool too. So I thought it was awesome. I'm definitely going to check out the second issue there and see where it goes.
I did want to pick up that comment, but I know we were talking about DC. I don't know if I think we kind of finished the DC talk. There's not much to talk about, which is really sad.
Yeah.
That's sad that there's just.
But what do you think? Is it the Night Terror stuff though that truly kind of killed the momentum of what Dawn of DC is?
100%. Because even Green Arrow is a book that I really liked from issue 1. I'm like, it's fine now. Like it's good, but it kind of lost momentum.
Yeah, and it's like now, right after Night Terrors, we had this whole Gotham War non-event, and so everything's just kind of, yeah, like you said, Kat, you're trying to pick up. Oh, where did this book leave off? And then it's like it lost all that momentum, all that excitement, all that fervor behind it, and it's like, okay, they're there now, and then you get like books that I know you didn't like it, Mike, but I also liked Supergirl special last week. I think you liked it, Kat.
Yeah,
And
it
I'm
was my
like,
pick of the
man,
week.
where's this? Like you said, where is a Supergirl book at this? That's what I want. Like, tell us those kind of stories and stuff. And it's like, yeah.
But the problem is they're so busy on trying to do these events and crossing over with the other books, and then it just
You're
interrupts
losing
everything.
people. It's the same exact mistake they made 10 years ago with the New 52, and it's so interesting that they're doing it again.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the first couple of years in New 52, they had no events, and that was kind of like a decree, no events for the first little while here, and it was better. And then when they started doing event after event after event, it's like, I don't know. That's a trap that Marvel and DC both fall into way too often.
Sure.
Unfortunately,
they really do, because it picks up sales. It's like doing a new issue 1, and it makes things
Right.
exciting. But you know what make things exciting? Honestly, I don't even mind the relaunches. I'd rather you tell me an arc in every miniseries. Just tell me good stories, because at that point, if you want your issue 1s, I don't care. Like you did it with She-Hulk. Like it's the same series. You just made it another issue 1. But at least you're telling the same story.
But that second issue 1 was kind of lame, though.
Because you got to catch people up and everything. But for
right.
people who have been enjoying She-Hulk, and I know that's not all of us here, even though I love Rainbow's writing, they probably continue to like it, because it's what they've been getting. But also, I think something that She-Hulk made a mistake of is there was no status quo change in issue 1. They probably should have made a little bit of a status quo change. But yeah, no, I think like Robin's a good example. It gave you 12 issues. That was enough time where people kind of read that series. And now you have Batman and Robin. Granted, it's not as good, but at least you were like, all right, let's make it more exciting. Add Batman, but it's the same writer. It's pretty much kind of the same series, the way they're trying to continue it.
It's a problem, though, when Batman is not that good. So if Batman is not that good, then the rest of your line suffers.
Well, same thing with Spider-Man. It's like,
no, I get it. I just feel like there's Marvel at least does have more books to choose from, and I guess when you have DC going crosses over, I don't know.
But what other books do you feel like Marvel has to choose from? Because I do think I'm a bigger Marvel fan, but I am a DC fan. But just to play devil's advocate, I think they end series they cancel them a lot, Marvel. Whereas they used to have Spider-Man, they used to have Punisher.
I think as far as like your flagship titles, like you would assume Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, those, your Trinity. And on the other side, you'd assume Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers, right? Mm-hmm. Avengers is polarizing. Some people love it. Some people are kind of a middle ground on it. X-Men, same thing. Spider-Man, not many people are loving. So it's like, you don't have a whole lot there. I don't know. I don't know. What do you have at Marvel? I agree. What is?
I mean, you would like for me. I would have to look at a list, but it's like top of my head, like Iron Man. I've been saying a lot. Incredible Hulk. I've been saying a lot. Ghost Rider. I've been saying a lot. Yeah, the Blade series for me was actually it's been actually good. The X-Men main title, I wouldn't say is the best.
It's good right now,
but it is good.
But then you look at Superman and Wonder Woman. I think those are really strong series right now.
I would say Wonder Woman is only 2 issues in. I wouldn't say it's the same.
Right.
But they changed the status quo. They gave their biggest writer on it. They gave the biggest artist on it. That's more than you can say that Marvel's been doing with their titles.
It's stronger than it has been in the recent past. I definitely agree
and
with that.
Superman's been incredible. Superman's been great. And again,
Superman's been good. Yeah.
I could play devil's advocate on the other side too. Like I think Incredible Hulk is so good. It's a book I really look forward to every honestly, I did my top 10 comics of the year just for a newsletter I'm doing for the future. And I have so many more Marvel books than I have DC. I had one DC book on the whole entire list. And then I had 4 of Marvel, but sadly 3 of them are done. So it was I won't spoil the list, but 3 of them have wrapped, or they are either a mini series or they finished. And it's a shame that there's not the long running Marvel series. Be like, wow, that's incredible.
I mean, I did a similar video a little while back. I think it was like last month on like my top 20 books or something like that, right? So I did a top 10 and then I did an honorable mention. And my honorable mention was Spider-Man and like Batman, because those are books that you would think would be in your top 10 or top 2, and they're not. They don't live up to that same standard. And when you look at my favorite books were all indie books. They weren't even in the top 2. So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, they're hot and cold. I think in a lot of ways, when it's come to the big 2, it's changed so much. They have so many different volumes. You almost can't even rate them because they start and before you know it, they're over already. You know?
I just want, like, I think Miss Marvel is a great example. It's like, hey, she's kind of running your MCU right now. They're definitely like, all right, Miss Marvel is a big character for the MCU. And you keep saying this with DC too. Like, they did it when Arrow was out and there wasn't a Green Arrow book, but like, where's your Kamala Khan book? Like, I mean, I get you have a mini series and she's an X-Men now, but it's just like, where is the character work? Where are you going with this? Same with Miles. I mean, at least you guys have been enjoying the Miles series, but and we'll talk about the Spider-Man book. But yeah, it's such a shame that they're not. And I think DC is doing a very similar thing where it's like, where's the character work? Where's the series like Green Lantern? Where's the series like Superman? That I think they just been doing a wonderful job at just telling character stories and that feel very contained to the series, but it makes them feel like they're growing. And I miss books like that. And I think both companies have problems with it. Like, obviously Spider-Man's not doing it, but then you don't have your Spider-Gwens and you don't have your Miss Marvels and you don't have your Runaways. I think they've also eliminated their young adult audience completely. Like, I really can't think of a book where it's for that audience anymore.
No, and that's a problem. And I think a lot of it has to do too with, like, I hate this. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the writers. I mean,
they all left.
we go back to the time we said it earlier in the show. It helps when you have a writer that's passionate about the characters. And if you're not passionate about the character, what kind of story are you going to tell? Or you might have one good story to tell, and then that volume is over, and then you try to find somebody else.
See,
because that's what it seems like it is these days.
I think it's the problem that a lot of people left because they're telling their own stories because they got better deals telling their own stories. And I think it goes to, they need to give good deals to these writers. Like, you're making millions to billions of dollars on these Marvel movies, and then you pay a certain paycheck to your creators. It's like, give them a little bit of more stock. If you don't want to give them a paycheck up front, give them maybe like a little, be like, hey, if your character shows up in this movie, we'll give you this. And obviously that's a lot, but I think that would actually give more warrant for writers to, because like, why would a writer want to create a character, make no money on it, and then they'll make billions in a movie? Like, who would want that? Right. Of course they wouldn't work their hardest because you're kind of stealing from them.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I just feel like it's a different mindset, obviously, definitely in the big 2 than it is when it comes to the independent books. I mean,
absolutely.
I read these independent stories and I love these independent stories. It's like the way I used to love Marvel comics, right? Sure. And it does make sense because a lot of these creators, artists, writers are people that did do those Marvel stories when we were younger. So it only makes sense, you know? So I don't know, but that's just obviously our opinion. And, you know, but I just feel like it is much different. I always am optimistic when it comes to comic books, no matter what. I always go into it. I try to find the good, but they are much different compared to what they were in the past. When you have stories that are constantly ending and getting new volumes and stuff like that. It's like, how can you even begin to follow anything that's going on anyway to begin with when it comes to comics? You
There's
know,
things that I forget all the time. And this is coming from veteran comic readers. We
right?
read every Wednesday. We read a lot of books. And there's times where I'm like, what just happened there? I don't remember
Right.
what happened.
Yeah.
This right here, you know,
Well, this is about the young adults can't not affording it either.
Right.
And I think, you know, one thing I'll also give, and we talked about this last week, I'll give to DC is that they are trying to make it more affordable to the young adults. They have the 999 books now, but then
Yeah.
also they have the webtoon. We keep talking about the Batman webtoon, but that is such a big deal. Kids are getting into Batman and can read it for free. And guess what? DC's making money off of it. Like, what? You make money off a webtoon, even if you're a small creator. There's ways to make money through Patreon, but there's ad revenue there. Just like a YouTuber can make money, webtoon makes their money the same way. Is that you get it from ads, you get it from coins. There's a whole system. But point being, DC's making money off of that, and it's free. It's free for people to read. So it's so interesting.
And you
that
need to.
They do that.
There's no advertising anymore either. And that makes it very, very difficult. The only advertising they truly have, right, is in their books, right? And then you might find something online every once in a while. But besides that, how are you even going to know that?
How are people know that Transformers is great?
And yeah, exactly. Nobody knows unless you go onto YouTube and you say, hey, I'm going to go into comic books. And you happen to find somebody that talks about certain books. So we're influencers on the comic book community, but outside of that, right?
Right.
How is anybody going to know that these books exist or that we talk about comic books?
Yeah.
So that's our little spiel, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I'll answer this one quickly, and then we'll get to the next topic. But why is Marvel not on Webtoon? A, they probably didn't make a deal with Webtoon like DC did, but B, they have their own digital thing, which is the Infinite Comics. That's like their way of doing the Webtoon, which is not smart because the only people they're tackling is people who are like Marvel. With Webtoon, you are tackling people that don't even know they're reading comics.
Disney as a company, their whole thing is built around let's keep everything insular, right? They don't like to farm their stuff out. They like to keep it all. So,
and in this regard, I don't think it's the smartest.
No, I agree. I'm just saying,
because interesting. I was looking at Lore Olympus, which honestly is the biggest comic out there ever.
Yeah.
Like it's the biggest comic. And I was looking at, I was talking about it with my family, and I was like, look at how many views this gets and look how much a Batman comic would get. They're at almost 7 million subscribers and they have 1.3 billion views. Yeah, that's crazy. And a lot, and they sell their books, they sell the trades, they're bestsellers on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and they're in libraries, you know. It's so amazing how big that book is. And
you gotta put yourself out there. Gotta put yourself out there. And these companies have the ability to do that, and they don't.
I know they're Disney, right? And they're Warner Brothers, and you think they'd be able to do it. All right, let's get into some other news pieces here. Night Thrasher, sorry. That's how much I know about the character.
Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher.
Let's have that character, Night Thrasher.
He comes out of trash cans at night. But you guys know the character. I don't know the character, so I knew when I saw
leader of the New Warriors.
Yeah. Man.
I didn't know. See, I know you guys love New Warriors.
Yeah.
I never read it as a little.
All I want from this, I want some New Warrior cameos. That's what I want.
Silhouette's going to be in this book. I know that for a fact.
Oh, okay.
So I think the plot revolves around Silhouette, kind of bringing him back into it somehow. I don't know, but I'm so excited about this. He's the guy that put the New Warriors together in the first place.
Yeah,
and then wasn't in. I don't remember.
I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I forgot too.
Actually, I think it's a new writer. Not new, but someone I haven't heard of. Jay Hotham is writing it. It's not like a big name.
Okay.
Yeah, not familiar.
You don't have to do a lot. I mean, there's not a ton out there with Night Thrasher, so
No. And there's versions in New Warriors he wasn't even involved with.
right. But I feel like this could be cool, man. It's just something. Again, this is something different. Haven't seen this character in a while. He exists. We got a writer that can kind of maybe write him that could appeal to some people. So I'm excited for it.
Okay. So this is he's a playwright, this guy writing it. And he's done some other stuff, like he's done a
lot of digital books, it looks like.
The Supergirl TV show, Jessica Jones Netflix series, Cloak and Dagger, written stuff like that. So
okay,
that's cool.
So literally he's worked in every medium, it seems like.
Yeah.
That's cool. Interesting.
I'm excited about Night Thrasher. Night Thrasher is a very 90s character. He rides around on a skateboard, has, scrimmage sticks kind of.
Yeah.
But I love the character. I love anything from New Warriors, and I want to see any version of that back. So I'm excited for this.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to What If Venom is getting its own little line here where we get to see different characters as symbiotes. And I've liked the What If books. I love the Gwen Stacy What If book that came out a little while ago. It looks like She-Hulk's becoming Venom, Moon Knight. This just seems like pure fun, and that's all I want. So
but you haven't read all of these most recent What If Dark books.
I've read half of them. I read Gwen. I read Moon Knight. I read what else? A Thing. I read most of them.
You didn't read the most recent Blade one, did you? That one came out like last week.
No,
this week.
I didn't read the Blade one.
Was it this week? Yeah, I think it was. Maybe it was this week. Yeah, it was this week.
If it came out really
Tomb
recently,
of Dracula one.
Yeah.
I skipped that one.
Week, I think.
Yeah.
That was Jay. That was what's his face? Who did Craven, The Last Hunt? What's his name? J.M. Whatever. I know he wrote it. I think.
DeMatteis.
Yeah. He did it. I know it was like related to something else he's written in the past. So I was like, oh, I don't know anything about this.
The one before Blade was a Carnage one, and that one was god awful. Oh my gosh, that was so bad. Yeah, and this Blade one, I couldn't really connect to it, so that's why I didn't like this one. But yeah, for when it comes to this Venom one, I'll check it out just because, like you said, I thought it was like Venomized She-Hulk, so I thought, okay, that could be cool, and it's like a mini series too. It's like 5 parts or something like that. So
yeah, I don't know if they'll be connected or not, but
right.
Looks cool. I mean, I won't say no to a What If and doing something different. Speaking of, let's get into some free comic book day stuff. So Marvel is doing Dracula and Vampires versus Avengers with the Blood Hunt event, and Skybound is going all in doing the Transformers and G.I. Joe universe, which makes sense. They do a free comic book day book. I'd probably pick it up. The Marvel one I wanted to talk about because I just think that's so boring. I don't remember the last time I've enjoyed a free comic book day book from them.
You know what it was originally? Because I was reading the article and it said that it was supposedly this big event to get ready for Blade's movie that was going to come out.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a big debacle right now. And now they're forced to kind of come up with this event that's going to be taking place again. We talked about it earlier, crossing over with a lot of different types of books. And, it is what it is at this point. So that's why that event is going on.
Yeah.
And the Transformers one is going to be cool because I think that is going to be, there's going to be some new stories in there also. Yeah. So it's a good jumping off point for people, they said.
Yeah, it's setting up the next phase or the next year of the Energon universe story. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. The Blood Hunt stuff, yeah, we talked about that event before. It's like, at least it's something different, but I'm not super excited. I mean, in the past, like the free comic book day book, if it's been good, the event's not been good. And if it's not been good, the event's been okay. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, don't remember last time I loved a free comic book day book, but it's a shame because that's a way to get people into the comic book store and they make it so specific and then make it so much for us that it's like, we will buy the comics. Don't make it for us. Make it for other people. Because like, I want more people in the comic book store, or make it new reader friendly enough where they'll be like, oh, I want to pick that up. Like, I think a great way is like, Superman's doing really great. Make it a new reader friendly one shot that anyone could pick up, but also if you're reading it, you have a fun time with it. Again, the book club, I'll keep going back to the book club of She-Hulk. Good example of doing something fun that you can enjoy if you're reading the book, but then maybe you get a new reader to enjoy She-Hulk. I don't think they do Free Comic Book Day right in that regard. I don't do it for me,
like, Yeah. At the same time, like the last time I can remember really being excited was Blackest Night. That Free Comic Book Day book was like, oh, this is cool.
Like everyone's getting it.
That was a long time ago.
Oh my gosh, man. When I look back at that event, oh my God.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a good story. Jesus. I read that and I'm like, it's funny when you look back on some of these stories and the quality of writing and just the way it was so good. And then again, we talked about that already. It's that those same writers are writing other books and independent books, and that's where they all go, unfortunately.
But also fortunately for us, because we get to read their independent comics where they get to make money. So I'm happy with that. All right, let's get into the next thing here, which is let's do Ghost Rider. I know people have been talking about that. People were surprised that there's a new Ghost Rider coming around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am too. I was like, I did not see this coming. I am kind of angry about it because I feel like there's nothing wrong with the current Ghost Rider series. It's really, really good.
But isn't it the same writer? It's still Benjamin Percy.
It is.
So it's just a She-Hulk situation then, right?
Right. But it's a different Ghost Rider
character.
Oh, right? So the different character. Gotcha.
And we don't know who it is.
But maybe there's a twist in the story because it is the same writer. Maybe it's always been the plan to do this.
I think you're 100% right. So I was angry that, oh my gosh, we're ending one to start a new one, but at least it's Benjamin Percy that's writing it. So the Ghost Rider series has been in good hands, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and again be optimistic about it, and hopefully that it will be really good.
But at the same time, it's what Marvel does every once in a while. So we got a new Punisher, we got a new Daredevil,
new Moon Knight,
whatever, new Moon Knight, etc.
We had a new Doctor Strange not a while ago.
Spider-Boy that just came out.
Oh, that one's dead. Okay. One to go.
That is true. All right, let's get into the Ultimate Green Goblin is coming around the corner too with issue 2 of
it was 2.
Ultimate Spider-Man. I like the costume. I like that it was a little different. We'll see if it's Norman or Harry or someone completely different, but I'm so excited for this book, and the only thing I'm concerned with, like I said, is that it's Hickman. So everything's turning up to be an awesome book.
I don't know who it could be. I
don't either.
I am clueless. Like I'm looking at, what if it was Gwen? Maybe it's Gwen. Like I don't know. It could be.
It looks like a flatter chest, but she could be wearing a binder. Who knows? I think that could be very interesting if they went that route.
I don't know.
I agree with Tevye though. It's probably Harry.
Yeah. They might not go. If they do Harry, I'd be like, I'm so tired of the Harry twist. We just did that with Kindred.
Right.
Norman is dead. I think this is like a different Ultimate Universe, though. I think anything goes. So
it is. It's completely different.
So it doesn't matter.
This is different. This is not the same. I so excited for this book, though.
It could be Norman.
Yeah.
I'm
excited for this book, man. I love an older Peter Parker getting his powers later. He's got kids. He's married to Mary Jane. I just think it's going to be cool, man.
You know, it would be an interesting twist if it was J. Jonah Jameson.
I would, I'd eat that up. I think I'd be like, all right,
that'd be awesome too.
Yeah,
he's like freaking 65 flying around in the glider.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you, Parker.
And he's just an awesome Green Goblin. I'm game for that. I'd be up for it. All right, let's get into our last two topics. We got a new Kickstarter going on. It's not me and Brant's. It's Boom Studios. It has a new Pink Power Ranger book written by the actual Pink Power Ranger, Amy Jo. And
Amy Jo, yeah.
I just thought this was such a smart move because a lot of times with bigger publishers, especially currently with Kickstarter, they don't do a lot of new titles. They tend to do collections and they do things that aren't exciting. And, you know, obviously you had the Scott Snyder book and what started all this was Keanu Reeves' book on Kickstarter. And to do something like this is huge. The one set, it's kind of the same thing they did with Keanu Reeves one, where it's a collection of the book, but it's coming out in February. So you technically can get it in the comic book store before you get it on the Kickstarter, which is not my favorite thing to see. But you get like different collections of it. It's like an exclusive collection that you can't get in stores. So if you're a big Power Rangers fan like me, who did get a copy, you have the traits. So you know, obviously, I don't know. I'm really excited about this because it's bringing a lot of people to the camp of Kickstarter, which obviously I'm very happy about as the Kickstarter girl. I think I'm trying to see how much money it's already made. It's made also a lot of money in its first day.
Did it launch today?
It launched today.
Yeah, so they have a if you like enamel pins, they have a cool day one backer thing too. I think it's like an enamel pin of her weapon, the bow.
I didn't even.
I got an email about it earlier this morning or something.
I'm trying to actually, oh, here we go. Because I'm trying to go on the Kickstarter page. So right now it's at 1,598 backers and $205,000. Like this is gonna be a monster.
Awesome. Yeah.
Just to give context, like my comic, which was a really big Kickstarter comic, The Beast in the Snow, made over 2,000 backers in its whole campaign, $80,000. Just to compare what you can
their goal was 50,000. They funded in 45 minutes. That pretty much says it all right there.
But that's so cool because it brings so many people to Kickstarter. It brings some life into Power Rangers. This is the way to do it.
She's an original Power Ranger too. Right. I mean, listen, I didn't like Power Rangers, and you guys know that. And the only reason why I watched the original Power Rangers was because of her. That's about it. I really liked her. I thought she was a pretty character, and I thought she was kick-ass. And even in the movie, she was good. And the weapon was pretty badass. I mean, I think it's a cool thing, man. It really is.
We also didn't have characters like her back. You know, that's what I love about Power Rangers.
No, you're right.
It's it's not because it's the best show in the world, even though I think the comics are great.
She was the female.
We never saw anything like that.
Hero.
And then we also had, a black superhero, an Asian superhero. Like we did not see things like that.
Show.
Yeah. It was the first time that ever really happened on a weekly basis. So that's why it's such a, memorable show. And, why she was such a great character too, because she was a female lead that was no damsel in distress. And she's such a fun character. And so this version of the comic, it's actually an alternate universe of like what could have happened. So anything you read from the Mighty Morphin stuff, this is like a new version of it.
Right.
It's good stuff for sure. I'm very excited for that. I'm also excited to pick up the single issues. It's like a 4-issue miniseries. And the one shame I saw, because I was like, I almost went for the signed comics. It's like, why not get it signed? They did a book plate instead of signing it on the book. And I was like, oh man, like you could get that signed. I don't love the book plate idea because you could just take that out of the book. I like it when it's signed on the book. But anyways, let's get into our last topic, which is our big topic, Spectacular Spider-Man. I want to go to Brant first because this is the freshest in his mind of the news. So just tell you what the news is that Miles and Peter have an ongoing book and it's written by Greg Weisman. So what do you think about that, Brant?
Also art by Humberto Ramos. Which I am
art by Humberto as well.
Love Humberto's art, especially on Spider-Man. Weisman, I like Weisman. I don't know though. It's like I didn't like Gargoyles and stuff as much as I had hoped I would. So I'm a little like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, but seeing Peter and Miles together, I think that's cool. That's that's
kind of
obviously going to lead to sales. Yeah. I mean, So and it's obviously the video games are very successful to have them both
inspired by the video game. I'm sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm a little hesitant about it just because I hope it's as good as I hope it is. So
I think this will sell. And
yeah, absolutely.
We talk about comic books for a younger audience. This can be for a younger audience and an older audience. So this could be an all audience type of thing, because again, you look at the video game and you look at Miles and Peter together in the video game, you got a comic with those two together. It's perfect. And Humberto Ramos's artwork is a style where it looks like it's for younger people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In many ways, because he did Spider-Man. He did Strange Academy, which they're all kids, so I think it's perfect. I think this has potential to be a solid book for sure.
What's interesting, and I want to kind of piggyback off what Brand said, though, the selling point, and I think the big part is like Greg Weisman back as Spectacular Spider-Man. That's the part that makes me hesitant, because I love Greg Weisman's writing in the first 2 seasons of Young Justice. Obviously, he did a lot with Spectacular Spider-Man, but I did not like the last 2 seasons of Young Justice because it was a big exposition dump. And then also Gargoyles was not what I expected. And people picking this up are going to expect the continuation of the Spectacular Spider-Man show and then realize that it's only a namesake. So it's like, that's the part I'm actually torn on, is the thing that I think Marvel thought was a big selling point. And I'm a little not nervous, because we know Greg Weisman can write good stuff, but it's the thing where I'm like, ooh, that's the thing I'm a little hesitant on. Like Humberto Ramos, of course, we've seen this a billion times and he always nails it. But yeah, that's the selling point I'm not as sure about.
Yeah, and hopefully we're in the minority on that one.
I'm sure we are.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. I wouldn't expect him to have it come off of the show. I mean, Spectacular Spider-Man.
People are buying it because of that, is my point. Is like people will be disappointed.
I don't think so. I mean, Spectacular Spider-Man was a comic book series. So, I mean, long before ever Spectacular Spider-Man show was ever around. So it's just looks at another comic book title for many people's eyes. I don't know if they'll be expecting the show. I'm not expecting the show. I'm just expecting a comic book with Peter and Miles teaming up. That's what I'm expecting up. And again, if I'm expecting anything, I'm expecting it exists because of the video game more than anything else.
I will also say I think it's good that and not good, but I think it helped that the writing strike happened, because that's probably why he had the opportunity to do this, is that the writing strike happened and then he was doing Gargoyles, so why not do another?
And then who knows what's popping in these people's heads while this strike is going on, right?
It's like, oh, this is a gig where I could write something. So yeah, no, that was definitely interesting too. We'll see what happens. All 3 of us, I'm sure, are going to buy it. We love these characters, and hopefully it hits it out of the ballpark. I see that Brant has something going on with his headphones. I think
he looks like a DJ right now.
I can't get these to work, and this is about to die. So just heads up.
All right, well, let's go quick so it doesn't.
Well, we're actually on the most anticipated now, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. So click over that screen because I'm not there, of course. All right, so I left G.I. Joe off because I saw it on your list, Mike. So I'll just go ahead and put that on there. That's your number 1 most anticipated. So let's talk about 301. Greatest American Hero, G.I. Joe.
Listen, I did not read the previous stuff from IDW, so I don't know where we're going to be, but I have a feeling that it's going to catch you up. It's going to be a new reader-friendly book. I just want a good, solid G.I. Joe book, and I'm covering all that stuff on my channel as it is, whether it's connected to the Energon universe or not. So I'm just excited to see all these characters in a comic book once again, and I couldn't be more happier about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I fell way behind on the IDW stuff, so I don't know where it left off either, but I'm definitely picking this up, and we'll see what happens. My number 3 is Speed Force number 1.
I'm picking it up.
Yeah, I'm definitely I don't know what to expect from it, and I'm trying not to put any expectations on it. It sounds like a fun concept, so hopefully it'll be good. But
It's a lot of issue ones from DC tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. So Batman and Robin is on yours and mine, Cat. So let's talk about that one. We talked about it a little bit before in the show, how it's basically a continuation. It hasn't like blown us away yet, but you know,
it's a weird week because there's nothing so crazy. So I was like, I guess I'll put Batman and Robin because I do like Damien.
Yeah. And
so I wonder how the story will sit now that it's like Gotham War is over, you know?
Yeah.
Is this his school thing? Because if it is, I'm actually more interested in it. Let me see.
It said something about it. He has homework to do. I remember that in the description.
That sounds fun to me. Like
I want to see with the whole lady shush situation.
Yeah, probably.
Lawrence asks, are you referring to Batman Gargoyles? I think for when we were talking about Greg Weisman. No, he actually wrote the show Gargoyles, and Dynamite now has a comic that he's writing that continues from the show. So it's just called Gargoyles. But it's an old 90s show, so I feel like it's I could understand not everyone knowing about that show.
Exactly.
The cartoon was brilliant. I love the cartoon. Yeah. The comic.
It was also on like Toon Disney or something. It wasn't like it's I can understand how that missed people's radars.
Sometimes things don't translate well in comic book form. So you might have seen it in a show and it doesn't work in a comic way.
Yeah. All right. So a book I almost put on my list was Deviant #1, which you did put on yours, Mike. So it sounded like an interesting concept for this one.
Yeah, it's like there's some murders that happened in the 70s. That guy is like killing all these kids or boys or whatever it is. I don't know if it was like dressed up as Santa and he winds up going to jail and he's pleading his innocence and he thinks, but now the murders are being reenacted all this time later. So I don't know, man. I'm on board. It looks freaking creepy. Yeah. James Tynion writes it. So I'm on board.
And yeah, the hook, James Tynion and Santa Claus. It's like, okay, that's just weird enough to give that a shot for sure.
I'm picking this one up, but I have not found a James Tynion independent issue one that I've enjoyed fully. So it's usually not for me, but let's see.
Yeah, same, unfortunately, but yeah, hopefully this will be the one.
World Tree.
Right, so Outsider, huh?
That you liked World Tree, yeah.
World Tree. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that one. You're right. I'm sorry. So there is one.
And I didn't like World Tree, so there's still 0 for me.
Yeah. So Outsiders, I just don't like Batwoman. So
I do like Kate.
On my radar.
And that's why that's the only reason why it is on my radar. It's like maybe Kate will be fun in this book. Oh, also I think the writers of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Colin and Jackson, they did Captain America. They did a lot of solid. I didn't love Guardians, but they've done a lot of solid books. So I'm hoping they do a good job for this one.
Yeah, Guardians, it fell off for me. I'm dropping it. We didn't talk about it, but
you were still reading it.
I almost dropped it after last issue, but I decided to give it one more, and now I'm done. But I don't, for whatever reason, I just don't like her. Batwoman is off-putting to me in the comics.
Did you read the original Batwoman stuff?
I have no sound.
Yeah, I knew he was going to run out. I knew that was going to happen.
Let's see. He might get it through his computer.
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything. Oh, no. Well, I was going to ask Brandon if he read the original Batwoman, but he's going to be playing DJ for a little while. So let's go to did you guys talk about Big Game yet? I don't think so.
No.
So you guys talk about Big Game.
Well, I'll talk about Big Game since he doesn't know what's going on. So Big Game is the conclusion to this story. So I don't know how it's going to wrap up when it comes to. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now. I can hear.
Well, good. Well,
so we're talking about Big Game,
and I'll go back to Batwoman after. Well, let me ask about Batwoman first. Did you read the original Batwoman?
Yeah,
Oh, then
The,
you're a lost cause then if you didn't like that.
I've tried to get into every single Batwoman series. I just don't like the character for whatever reason.
So go back to Big Game.
Yeah.
So Mike, you were saying about Big Game?
Big Game is the conclusion to the actual series now.
Right.
So now we got to see the invasion is actually happening, the whole Empress thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to expect. I couldn't predict what's even going to begin to happen to Nemesis, all the people. Somehow I have a feeling that the Magic Order is going to step in and something is going to happen. I don't know what that is.
I mean, I can't imagine him just killing off his entire universe and just being done with it. So either the Magic Order or some kind of time travel is going to have to interfere or something. But who knows if some of the characters will stay dead. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's been such a good story.
Oh,
I mean,
Mark Miller, man, great stuff, dude.
I mean, this is a cool way to do an event, though, where you've got so many years of buildup, and then you bring all these characters together that you didn't even know were connected, and then just kill them all off. It's like, okay, this
5 issues in it was never overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, it's just this is going to be the story, and this is it.
Yeah,
and it's perfectly written.
And it didn't cross over into the individual titles or any of that stuff. It was just self-contained, but it involved this massive. It's like, it was just so good. Anyway, looking forward to it. And then finally, Green Lantern, issue number 5.
Yeah, it's just a book that I always want to see what happens next. I like that it's very character driven. He seems to have a plan. It's the book that makes me excited to go to the comic book store. Even if I don't love the issue, it's still every issue I'm like, I'm so intrigued by where this is going to go. It's almost a soap opera to me.
It looks like there's going to be a Red Lantern ring or something's going on in this comic.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool right there.
It reminds me a lot of Jeff Johns' run, especially the beginning of it. And I'm curious to see if it will expand to the other cores like Jeff Johns' run did.
Absolutely love that. I think that's when the Lanterns were its best, in my opinion, anyway.
I just want to see Carol as a Star Sapphire. I think that's also why I'm always just want to see. Maybe this will be the issue that she gets to do something. But other than that, also just Hal has been so great, and his supporting characters have been great. It's a good book. I really like it.
Yeah.
This has been the longest show we have had in a long time, so understandable. The name changes. We don't usually go this long, but we usually don't have this much news and interesting comics to talk about. So it's just one of those weeks.
Yeah. You should have been on one of our 3 or 4 hour shows in years past.
Yeah, back in the day.
9:30, 9:15, 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Is that it though? Are we done now though?
That's it.
Oh yeah, see? So 2 hours later. So not bad, guys. We had a great show tonight, and we appreciate you guys sticking. We had a good audience tonight, which was nice. And hopefully we'll have more wonderful news to talk about and some great books as well. I know it's leading into the Thanksgiving holiday. So like I said, hopefully you guys will be here. And of course, guys, we're going to tell you, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly's YouTube channel, where you can watch all the episodes back to back to back. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is Comic Book Corner 2.0, where not only can you watch these episodes, but you can watch all my content on there. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Comic Uno and Only Good Comics. Great channels there as well. Kat's been doing it just as long as I have. And Brant's been doing it too, but he's just, on and off. And he's trying to be more consistent. So check out his videos.
I started the TikTok channel for it today.
Oh boy, now we're getting crazy.
Starting to do some short stuff, yeah.
So there's that. But thanks, guys. And of course, make sure you like the videos, hit the notification bells, follow us on all the social media stuff. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a great new comic book day, and we'll see you all in a few hours if you watch my video, and we'll post stuff, whatever.